Jay Bhalodia is Managing Director for Security Customer Success at Microsoft. Jay, welcome. Thanks for joining us at Defense Talks today. What are you seeing across the landscape as far as Zero Trust and CMMC in particular about the security posture of the Pentagon and how to improve it?
Yeah, it's those two initiatives that you mentioned, both of them are actually related to each other and drive the same similar outcome. But they focus on a different scope. Zero Trust is an enterprise security strategy. It's focused on modern environments. It's focused on a mobile workforce, protecting the users, the devices, the application, the data, regardless of where it lives. When you think about it that way, it really is a security strategy for mission enablement and for mission portability. When you advance yourself in Zero Trust, when the Department of Defense advances themselves in Zero Trust, you got to think like the mind of an attacker, right? You channel that perspective. When that front door is heavily guarded, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to that back door, right? And that's where CMMC comes in. CMMC, when you really guard the strength of the core enterprise of DoD, the open door is through the supply chain. And so that's where CMMC comes in. It extends Zero Trust into that broader set of partners for the Department of Defense. It takes those core concept of Zero Trust to verify explicitly, like that concept of never trust, always verify, and it extends that to the suppliers, the contractors, and the vendors. It's an assessment framework through which you have assurance that the vendors that you work with, that you share data to, they meet a standard of compliance, and that they're trusted to protect the warfighter. One of the things I would say is CMMC is a great start. It's a baseline of compliance. It's a baseline of assurance. If we really want end-to-end security of the Department of Defense, you got to secure that supply chain end-to-end, and over time, hope to see the supply chain of the DoD also embrace that Zero Trust as well.
One of the areas that the Pentagon's trying to make sure is secure is Joint All-Domain Command and Control. We've talked about it a lot today. The big challenge is going to be getting data from the main point to the end point back to the main point, and then end point to end point is the vision that they've laid out. What does that look like in your view, especially from a security perspective?
Well, there's a security perspective there. I actually look at the security industry parallel for that in terms of how do we evolve JADC2 as a capability, right? Because when you look at security, we also started out with a set of siloed technologies and tools that didn't interrelate, didn't intercommunicate. The threat got complex, and we needed to pull that data, push it into a consolidated platform, a centralized platform. And on that platform, we now were able to look across these technologies and tools and interoperate. Well, the threat got sophisticated. And so it was, with the volume of data that you had, and when minutes mattered, it became a nature of you need to automate, you need to be able to have the analytics to make the right decisions, and have a human operator able to execute in that scenario. One of the lessons I'd say that security teaches us and the evolution of the industry teaches us is, the technology has evolved. It's evolved really well. But the talent and the operations, we didn't foster the success of those as much in parallel. Right? Evidenced by the skill gap that we have right now, that affects all of us. Evidenced by tools being deployed and not necessarily meeting an operational context. That's a legacy context of IT versus security. Right? And I think that there's a big area to be learned from there. The organizations that succeed had moved from this structure of independent organizations and roles into how do we get in the fight and focus on a seamless execution against outcomes. I think it's the same kind of effort that we're looking for from a JADC2 perspective, and I think those are some of the lessons learned. Got to invest in the technology. You need the cloud, need the AI, need ML, need 5G, right? You need that platform for that human operator to get the analytics to make the decisions and automate execution against it. But we also got to invest in the people and the operations. We got to invest in building the skills now for what's necessary later. And we got to invest in a joint operating context where we switch from organizations and roles and move to seamless operations against an outcome.
Jay, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for coming and joining us today.
Cheers, appreciate it.